David, really, Melanie? Her words, sharp as shattered glass, echoed across the manicured lawn of the engagement party. Sun glinted off champagne flutes, reflecting a scene of picture-perfect suburban bliss, a stark contrast to the acid churning in my stomach. My hands trembled as Mom's disapproval hung thick in the air, a familiar blanket of inadequacy. The scent of gardenias, usually comforting, now felt suffocating. He's nice, Chloe offered weakly, but the damage was done. Inside, I was screaming. Outside, I remained composed, a lifetime of practice kicking in. A quick buzz from my phone, another Sterling Ventures sale, this time to Dubai, offered a fleeting sense of control. Ever feel invisible? Well, buckle up. Hit that follow button for more on sticking it to the haters. 'Cause things are about to get real good, and oh so satisfying. Trust me, the tables turn. It all began in 1998 during Chloe's Sweet 16. A brand new convertible, cherry red and gleaming, sat in our driveway, festooned with ribbons. I received a box of art supplies. Chloe needs reliable transportation, Mom explained, her voice dismissive. You're just dabbling in art. The metallic tang of the car's exhaust mingled with the sickly sweet scent of Chloe's birthday cake, creating a sensory memory I couldn't shake. Later, in 2003, college acceptances arrived. Chloe, predictably, got into Penn. Mom celebrated with a lavish dinner at the Rittenhouse. I earned a scholarship to Tyler's School of Art, a victory I nervously shared. An artist? How practical, Mom sighed, her gaze lingering on Chloe. Maybe you can teach art to kids. Her words, like tiny needles, pricked my enthusiasm. It was then I began building Sterling Ventures. The final straw came in 2009. My first major art show featured a piece that sold for thousands. I rushed home, eager to share the news. Mom, however, was preoccupied with Chloe's engagement. He's a lawyer, Melanie. Finally, some stability, she gushed, barely glancing at my excited face. You know, Chloe's always been good at making the right choices. That night, I vowed to protect my success, to keep it hidden from her grasping hands. And that is what I did. This was it. The moment to rewrite the script. But how? The printed Facebook messages shook in Ethan's hand, Beverly's campaign of manipulation laid bare for all to see. Years of dismissal, of being cast in Chloe's shadow, culminated in this public humiliation. A wave of nausea washed over me, threatening to break the fragile composure I had maintained for so long. The tiny apartment, once a symbol of my quiet independence, now felt like a cage, the low hum of the refrigerator a constant reminder of my meager existence. The stale smell of instant coffee mingled with the acrid scent of burnt toast, a testament to countless late nights spent building my empire, fueled by spite and a desperate need for validation. My silence, however, would end tonight. Looking at David, his face etched with confusion and hurt, I made a decision. I would no longer be defined by Beverly's warped perception. No more hiding, no more shrinking, no more silent suffering. This was my life, my success, my love. I took a deep breath, the air catching in my throat. Sterling Ventures is mine, I announced, my voice surprisingly steady. A collective gasp rippled through the room. I built it from nothing. The initial shock gave way to a murmur of disbelief, then a wave of understanding. The irony wasn't lost on me. Chloe, draped in a dress likely purchased from my marketplace, stared in stunned silence. Her world, so carefully constructed on a foundation of maternal approval, was crumbling before her eyes. This was not about money, not about fame, but about reclaiming my narrative. No approval sought, no permission needed, no apologies given. My first milestone had been reaching $100,000 in revenue. My second, surpassing $1 million. This, the public reveal, was the most crucial. A potential revelation that would have previously terrified me now felt like freedom. And so I stood, ready to face the future, Sterling Ventures and all, on my own terms. Weeks later, an invitation arrived, Chloe's baby shower. Butterflies erupted in my stomach, a mix of dread and something else. Curiosity, maybe a sliver of hope. I hadn't spoken to Mom since the engagement party debacle, communication limited to terse emails from her therapist regarding family reconciliation strategies. The shower was at the country club, a monument to Beverly's aspirational lifestyle. Manicured lawns stretched towards the horizon, a sea of pastel dresses bobbed amidst floral arrangements, and the air buzzed with polite chatter. My old self would have felt out of place, invisible. But not today. I wore a sleek, tailored dress, a subtle power statement. I'd spent the past weeks subtly shifting Sterling Ventures marketing, a feature in Forbes, a charitable donation that had landed us on the local news. I needed to be ready. Inside, the transformation was striking. Chloe glowed, radiating happiness. But it was the undercurrent of unease that caught my attention. Mom hovered, her smile strained. Chloe's friends, once dismissive, now offered hesitant smiles. "Melanie, you look amazing," Chloe gushed, a genuine warmth in her voice. Mom's eyes narrowed, a flicker of resentment crossing her face. "It's good to see you," Chloe continued, oblivious. "I can't believe you're such a big deal now," oblivious. They still didn't know. I smiled, a carefully crafted expression of polite detachment. "It's just business," I replied, deflecting the attention. This was progress of sorts, but the real test was yet to come. Suddenly, a hushed whisper snaked through the room. All eyes turned towards the catering staff, struggling to maneuver a massive cake. "Is that?" someone murmured. It wasn't the cake's size that captivated, but its decoration. A meticulously crafted replica of Sterling Ventures' iconic logo, rendered in sugar and edible glitter. My logo. A silence descended, heavy and expectant. Beverly's face contorted, a mixture of confusion and dawning horror. Chloe gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "What is this?" Mom demanded, her voice trembling. I stepped forward, my heart pounding but my voice calm. "It's a celebration, Mom. A celebration of Sterling Ventures, my company, the company that generates over $10 million a year." The number hung in the air, amplified by the stunned silence. The effect was instantaneous. Jaws dropped. Eyes widened. Even David looked surprised, though his hand found mine, a silent reassurance. My earlier work with Forbes and my recent charitable donation finally clicked in their minds. It wasn't just an art store, it was an empire. 10 million, Chloe repeated, her voice barely a whisper. She looked at her mother. A look of realization dawned on her face. One of Chloe's friends fainted. It had to be the dress. Beverly sputtered, her face turning an alarming shade of red. But you're just a graphic designer." "I was a graphic designer," I corrected, my voice steady. "Now I'm a CEO." The power shift was palpable. Years of being overlooked, dismissed, and underestimated vanished in a single moment. Her face was priceless. No one spoke. I had waited so long for this. A chance to finally be seen. And now here it was, the first wave of my revenge. "Melanie, please tell me this is some elaborate joke." Beverly finally managed, her voice laced with desperation. "A prank to embarrass me." I met her gaze, unblinking. "It's the truth, Mom." "Hard to believe, isn't it? You laughed then, you're not laughing now." Chloe, ever the peacemaker, stepped forward, her brow furrowed. "Melanie, why didn't you ever tell us? Would you have believed me?" I asked, a rhetorical question hanging in the air. Or would it have been another opportunity to compare me to Chloe, another chance to tell me I wasn't good enough? My gaze shifted back to Beverly. "I built this to protect myself from you." A tense silence followed, broken only by the clinking of champagne glasses. I could practically see the calculations whirring in Beverly's mind. How can I capitalize on this? I knew her all too well. "Well," Beverly began, a forced smile plastered on her face. "This is wonderful, darling. I always knew you had potential. Maybe you could invest in Chloe's new boutique. She's been having some cash flow issues." "No," I said flatly, cutting her off before she could elaborate. "Sterling Ventures is my project, my hard work. I decide where the money goes." "But Melanie," Chloe interjected, a hint of desperation in her voice. "We're family. Family doesn't try to sabotage my engagement, Mom. Family doesn't dismiss my achievements, Chloe. Family supports each other." I paused, letting the weight of my words sink in. "I'm willing to move forward, but things need to change, drastically." Mom had the audacity to ask, "So does this mean you'll pay for my new kitchen reno?" I stared. Silence was a weapon. "No, Mom, it means you'll need to get a job." My one-liner was delivered. The tables had indeed turned. And now for the final twist. I took another slow breath, letting it out gradually. Calm, collected, in control. "Actually, Mom, there's something else you should know, something about the country club itself." I paused for effect, relishing the stunned silence. "Sterling Ventures doesn't just sell art, Mom, it also invests." Beverly's eyebrows furrowed. "Invests? In what? More of your online trinkets?" I smiled, a slow, deliberate curve of my lips. "Not trinkets, Mom, assets. And one very significant asset in particular, the mortgage on this country club." The blood drained from Beverly's face. Her mouth worked silently, like a fish gasping for air. Chloe's eyes widened, darting between her mother and me, confusion battling with dawning comprehension. What are you saying?" Beverly stammered, her voice barely audible. "I'm saying, Mom, that Sterling Ventures holds the note on the club. The one you've been so desperate to maintain your membership in. The one that defines your social standing. The one you've leveraged your entire life around." The weight of my words settled over the room like a suffocating blanket. "Essentially, Mom, I own the bank to which this country club is in debt." A wave of dizziness washed over Beverly, and she reached out to clutch Chloe's arm for support. Chloe, however, stood frozen, her gaze fixed on me, a mixture of awe and disbelief in her eyes. Even David was shocked. You can't be serious," Beverly whispered, her voice cracking. This is how I network. This is how I maintain my connections." I tilted my head, feigning innocence. "Connections? You mean the ones you tried to sabotage with your Facebook campaign? The ones you dismissed as unimportant when I was struggling to build my business?" The silence was deafening. People were staring. I continued, my voice calm and matter-of-fact. "The club's financial situation has been precarious for some time. Sterling Ventures acquired the debt at a significant discount. A smart investment, I thought." I paused, letting the irony sink in. "Of course, we're always willing to work with our borrowers, provided they meet their obligations." The implication hung heavy in the air. Beverly's social standing, her carefully cultivated facade of wealth and influence, was now entirely dependent on my goodwill. A small business loan she would be able to provide me would have saved her so much trouble. The color returned to her face, replaced by a mask of fury. "You wouldn't." She hissed, her eyes blazing. "You wouldn't dare," I shrugged, a picture of nonchalance. "Wouldn't I? You underestimated me once, Mom. Don't make that mistake again." And with that, I turned and walked away, leaving Beverly sputtering in disbelief, her world crumbling around her. The taste of victory was sweeter than any cake. Time blurred. Months passed as Beverly struggled to reconcile her reality. Attempts at reconciliation were met with Melanie's firm, selective responses. Therapy helped, but scars remained. Melanie flourished. The apartment was upgraded, filled with light and art. Sterling Ventures thrived. Looking back, Melanie recognized the cost. The relationship with her mother was forever changed, a complex mix of resentment and lingering love. But the freedom from constant validation seeking was immeasurable. In the end, she discovered her worth, not in external accolades but in her own resilience. She now has the power to determine her worth. Ready to write your own story, find your inner Sterling, set those boundaries and own your narrative. Share if you're feeling this. Revenge fades, success shines.